Welcome back to Business Owners Speak. Today, I'm thrilled to have with us Andrew Tibbles with Slidey. Andrew, how are you today?
I am doing good, Matt. How about you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining us. To start us off, if you could start telling us a little bit about you and the business.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a little bit about me. Originally from the state of Minnesota. Uh, and then back when I was in high school, my family moved down to West Palm Beach, Florida. And I've been going back and forth ever since. My wife and I have now lived down here for 4 years. So, loving every minute of it.
That's great. And so all right, so you grew up in Minnesota, but you didn't move here until 4 years ago.
Yep.
Got
Yeah.
it. Okay, so tell us about how you became a business owner.
Yeah. So, back in 2020, right before COVID, my wife and I moved down to Florida. I got a sales job at a software company. The goal was to be in the office, and then COVID happened. So I moved across the country for no reason except to just work from home. So, yeah, that was a pretty interesting situation. So, I worked in software sales, and I had a pretty rough bout. It was my first full blown sales role. And I also had to learn how to generate pipeline at the same time. And then, as you know, March rolls around and, I lost all my pipeline. So I had an opportunity to stick with that company and get demoted to a sales development representative role. And I decided to take a step back and really think about what I wanted to do, and felt like the corporate realm wasn't really the best fit for me as an individual. So I took a month, and I've always loved the startup realm. When I was in college, I was doing some work with startups and just absolutely loved that space. So I went back and started communicating with more startups, and I started just going in and looking at their sales and marketing processes, systems, how they were generating revenue, and uh, it was an off chance that I would find a business that there wasn't something I could go in and find some value for. So, uh, I once I got into that software company originally, Vista, I think it was Vista Partners. If you accumulated all their software assets, they're the third largest software company on the planet, and they acquired that software company. They had a couple hundred employees. If I had to guess, it was probably 50 to $100 million sale. And what they'll do is they'll take medium-sized software companies and turn them into some of the largest software companies in the world. Uh, and I had the pleasure of being a part of that experience. So when I came on board, Vista came in and started implementing new processes, new systems, new techniques, new training, and I got to experience that firsthand. So I was able to see the transition from a software company that's going from medium-sized software company to enterprise level. Uh, and I learned a lot about how, high-end sales teams operate in that process. So when I went to the startup realm, I could go into these companies and always see something that there could be fixed or done differently. And I did that for a couple months. And one of the consistencies I found was a lot of these companies struggled to have high quality sales materials. As technology moves fast. You can go up and look a website up right now, and you can tell if that website was built in 2010, 2015, or even 2020. So it's a very quickly evolving space. And I saw that same logic also applied to other sales materials like sales presentations, one pagers, things of the sort. So it, if you're familiar with Freelancer or Fiverr or any of those sites,
Yep.
yep.
Upwork and
I I knew nothing about graphic design actually. So I just knew what looked good and what didn't look good. So I would go on those sites, and I had one of two options. I could either work with a US based agency and they would charge an arm and a leg, for them to develop something for our companies that I was working with. And, as a consultant, right, I needed to make sure I was watching my margins and making sure I could operate profitable. And or I could work with somebody overseas. And I don't know if you've had that experience before, but sometimes it can kind of feel like, closing your eyes and throwing a dart at a board. So
Absolutely.
uh, I uh, I felt like there was a need there in the market, something in between, something where it wasn't a full blown outsource agency that I had to have the concerns with deliverability, communication, cultural differences, and not like a high end premium marketing company that's going to charge me thousands and thousands of dollars to develop all this stuff. So I went on the hunt for a business partner overseas with the goal of being like kind of like that token of trust between basically just two different worlds almost. You when you go to these other countries, uh, they operate differently culturally. It's different, and there can be some uh, tension there when working with other countries. So I wanted to build that relationship, and I met my business partner Bilal through that process. And fast forward to now, we have a team of 65 in Pakistan uh, that operates a couple doors down from his house. Actually, is where our office is located. And then I have a team of contractors here in the United States that I work with, and yeah, so
Great.
we go into businesses, usually B2B. We're doing a lot with AI startups now, and we'll develop their sales and marketing materials.
And that that's an interesting niche just because exactly like you mentioned, what's in the middle between, the dart throwing and the super high end expensive, marketing agency. And so in terms of the tools that you produce, kind of walk us through if a regular client is looking for what that you guys can provide.
Yeah, great question. So we still use Upwork is one of the main sites we use for lead generation. So what's really cool is, I learned how to work effectively with my team overseas. And what I did is to bring my friends on. My friends started creating Upwork accounts, and they started managing their own Upwork accounts. And then I helped them with the back end of their business, figure out how to operate everything. And then we help with the graphics if they need any help with their graphics. So I basically created a system where we can train, people in to basically becoming small business owners. And, they're not significant businesses. They might make, 2 to 3K a month in profit, and they're working maybe 5 to 10 hours a week. So it's a really good little side income because, what I'm very passionate about is automations and processes. So I've helped with that entire side of it. So that's our lead gen engine. Now, what types of businesses are we helping? It's primarily B2B businesses. I mean, it ranges from startups to companies like Coca-Cola, L'Oreal, and GoPro. So, I mean, we'll work with brands that have their pre-seed looking for funding, and we're helping them develop a pitch deck all the way to C-suite level executives at GoPro or those larger enterprise companies that they have an important presentation they have to give. They struggle to get together with their marketing team to build something unique, and they reach out to us and we'll build the deck for them.
And when you build out those decks and those tools, are you using proprietary software that you've developed, or what are we using
Great question. Yeah, so we have proprietary systems and processes in place to make sure that we're able to deliver on time with what our clients are looking for. But at the end of the day, we're in the business of people. AI really struggles to design things uh, to a level that people would actually want to use it into a presentation and such. So what I've been very big on is we're not trying to be just like an outsourcing agency. I made sure that, Bilal and I made sure that we built a team of the best designers in the country of Pakistan, which is where our team is based.
Mm-hmm.
So it really comes down to the team members that we have designing these decks. I mean, if you go to our website, slidey.io, you'll see that our team does some really solid work. And it really just comes down to the designers. And then our team here in the US works great on the creative side and then managing those projects to ensure that they get done on time.
So you're an ROI business, right? I mean, people have to see some return on the work that you're providing them, that they're now putting out, into the universe to for lead gen. And so I'm curious if you have some metrics set up with your clients to measure how your services and tools are performing for them. Like, how does that interaction happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, I also run a sales outsourcing company called Big Pipe. That's more top of funnel lead gen. We're actually starting to move into. Now, what's beautiful about that is that's pretty easy to track a direct ROI because you can see the deals that we're generating, the size of those deals, the close ratios, all that stuff. The data is very easy. From a marketing standpoint, that can be a lot harder to track the ROI. And what's interesting is a lot of times, like, people aren't the ROI is completely dependent upon the situation, the problem that we're solving. Because if we're building a deck for a company that's going for funding, I think in total, we work with well over 500 companies a year. In total, I think we've helped startups secure over 200 million plus in funding. Wow. Through our decks. So, well, we're just the ones designing it, right? It's not like we're actually building the startup. So right. It's tough to tie an ROI to that. When it comes more into website redesigns and such, that's also really tough to tie a ROI to because, Matt, I'm sure you've gone to a company, looked at their website, and felt like, ooh, I don't know how legitimate this business is.
Sure.
And you know nothing about how the business actually operates or anything on the back end, and none of us do, but we have that innate reaction when we go check out a company's website. Now, when you go to a company's website and it's pristine, articulate, well developed, you're going to look at that business and say, wow, I'm assuming the back end of their business is probably going to run relatively similar to this. So it's tough for that tangible ROI, but people see the value there. People understand the value. So
it's just like walking into a brick and mortar, right? If people take care of their space, they feel like they're a professional person that you want to do business with, as opposed to the opposite. And I would imagine there's so much satisfaction for you guys if you design something and then someone goes and all of a sudden gets a bunch of funding because they used your tools. You're making dreams come true, Andrew.
Yeah, it is a really beautiful thing. We love helping startups. I mean, back in college, one of my good friends, he manages and helps with Slidey. He built a startup. It was called Bit to Bite, that basically helped young kids get into entrepreneurship. Kind of like a hybrid between like a Facebook and like a how-to guide where kids could basically teach other kids how to build STEM projects. And he was in incubators working at Iowa State. And so we just love the startup run. We love helping startups. We love, figuring out how we can help them sell their business basically to investors.
Right. So what right now, you're a young guy, right? And you're kind of learning your way through this business ownership world. What's the biggest challenge you face right now?
Oh my goodness. So wow. There's so many. Failure is inevitable. I'm worried when I'm not failing because that means pushing myself, hard enough.
Yeah.
In the same way that you go to the gym and you're going to build your muscles the strongest when you can't lift them anymore.
Yep.
I think operating a business is the same way. So what do I struggle with? I'm a Christian, so I've structured my life around those belief systems, and to me that means my actions should align with one of three things. I should either be actively serving somebody, or I should be building myself into something better to help serve people better, or I should be resting to serve people. Now, when you're running a business, there's not a lot of rest involved. So it's more of a mixture of how can I better myself, which is a struggle because I don't have anybody to report to except clients.
Right.
Which is nice, and it has its pros and cons. So some of the cons are they can get away with not telling you the truth. If they're upset about something, they can just walk away and take the easy route. If you have a manager or something, that's probably not going to be the same process. They're going to tell you how it is. So making sure I have good clients that are honest with me has been big. That transparency is huge. So learning that's been the big part of how I can serve people better. And then number two, serving people. As a business, you're not a business if you don't have profits. So running that line from caring for my family to caring for my team, how can I make sure I'm serving all these individuals and really helping them develop and become the versions of themselves that they can be?
Wow. Very nice. Really well said too. And I wish more owners would take that mindset. And speaking of other owners, if you could, how about a little, some words of wisdom from Andrew, from what you've learned since you've owned the business for other business owners that maybe just starting out, maybe looking to take the leap, like what's some wisdom you can share?
Yeah, well, I'm young, so it's funny trying to give wisdom to other business owners. But what I would say is, don't be afraid of the future. Things are changing fast with how companies are operating. I've implemented AI into all of my businesses, and it's had a huge impact in how we run. Uh, the business landscape is changing. With everything being digital, you can work from anywhere. So don't be afraid of the world market. Uh, and don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to fail, uh, and persevere. Keep pushing forward, because that's all we can do is just get up. So keep getting up.
Keep getting up. So true. And really good words to live by for any business owner, because if you do that, that means there's a tomorrow, and that's what we're trying to get to, right?
Exactly.
Well, Andrew, we really appreciate your time today. It's Andrew Tibbles with Slidey and Big Pipe. So thank you so much for taking the time today. And although you're still fairly early on your journey, it's clear there's some really great things ahead for you. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate the time today.
You bet.